Welcome to the perfect New Year's Eve party idea. This is our New Year's Eve escape room, and it's all centered on that classic New Year's Eve tradition of the ball dropping to signal the new year coming in. I'm so excited to show you our DIY escape room. In a lot of our escape rooms, we have you solve clues to open up a box as a solution to the escape room. But in this case, we have something super fun that we've never done before. We have this bar with 6 different locks on it, and every time you open one of those locks, the ball is going to drop a little farther. This twist is unlike any that I've ever seen in an escape room, and it's so perfect for New Year's Eve, so I think all of your partygoers are going to love this. So now let's walk you through step by step how to create this. In order to create that wonderful ball drop, first find a wall in your room that already has some pictures and take them down. Then you're going to take your punched flat bar and put it on one of the nails. Now I did need to pull my nail out just a little bit because of the felt on the back side, which we're putting to protect our wall. It is a little bit thicker. So if you need to, just pull out that nail, then you can add your punched flat bar onto the wall. If you do have extra nail holes, you can take advantage of some of the decor in the room and put that on top of it as well. Just add a little bit more fun to this wall. Then get some yarn and tie it to the bottom of the punched flat bar. Next, we're going to need to see how long we need to cut the yarn. So in order to do that, I like to get a start by just taking the yarn, putting it at one of those notches at the top of the punch flat bar just so it stays in place, and we're gonna let that drop to the ground. Then go ahead and find whatever you want to use as the New Year's Eve ball drop. At first I was going to use these really fun blow-up balls that have some gold confetti in them. I thought that would be so cute to go falling down the wall. But then I also saw these at Walmart that are these really great little honeycombs, the ones that you can just open up and put together, and I thought this actually is super fun. It does have a tassel on the bottom. This was only $2, but I will put a link to both of these items in the description down below. These balls are so fun that even if you don't end up using them for the ball drop itself, I actually have 3 of them that I'm putting in the escape room. Sometimes I like to just throw in a random clue so that they wonder if there's something to it, but it'll be fun to have in the escape room, create a really cool effect, and then also once the escape room is done, people of every age love coming up with games to do with these beach balls. So I love just having them in the room so that you have a built-in game right afterward that they can do. So then what you want to do, remembering that the very end of the puzzle, the end of the escape room, is going to be when the ball hits the ground. So we want to put that down there, and I'm not including the tassel in that, I'm including just the ball itself, so I'll put that down near the ground, measure the yarn, give it a little bit of extra space. So here's where it would tie onto the ball, but I want to give myself a little bit of extra room in order to be able to tie a knot, and then you can go ahead and make the cut right there. With this cut, we don't want to tie it to the ball just yet because we want to secure it even more into our punched flat bar. So first I'm just going to lift it up where I was holding it in place, take the bar off the wall, and then I'm going to thread this through the top here, so it'll go from the front to the back. Then because this is threaded through the bar, we know that as it starts to fall and as we are able to undo the locks as we go through, that there's still extra support to be able to hold the ball from the top of our bar. So now that it's threaded through just that top section, now we can go ahead and tie this to the ball itself. So I'm going to get it started threaded through the top of the ball to be able to connect it, and then I'm going to put the ball back on the ground and tie the knot from there. Just for fun, I'm going to tie a little bow at the end as well to make it a little bit cuter where it connects together. Perfect, and now we are set to start applying all of our locks to the wall. The first thing that I like to do here is just set the combinations for all 6 of my locks. So you can go ahead and just do that all up front. All of the instructions for what lock combinations to set are in our printable PDF, so you can check those out. So I like to just set all 6 codes up front, that way I know that all of my locks are ready to go, and then I'm ready to put them all on the bar at the same time. When it's time to start threading the locks into the bar, we don't actually want to put them directly through the bar, or else a lot of the locks will be touching the wall, and that could definitely leave some marks. So instead we're going to do a little trick with hair elastics. And in this case you're going to take the hair elastic and then thread it from the back of the bar, and here's where you may want to remove the bar from the wall. Thread it through the back of the bar to the front of the bar so that you now have wings on both sides of the bar. So I like to go ahead and prep all 6 of these elastics and get them all in place at once. And then just to make sure that that bottom lock doesn't hit the wall either, I'll actually put this elastic for the bottom one a few notches from the bottom. Once all 6 of those elastics are in place, we are ready to start adding the locks, but we're not putting the locks directly into the elastic. until we have added some yarn around them first. That's how we're going to get the ball to rise, is to wrap a lot of yarn around each of these locks. But every time they unlock a lock, some of that yarn is going to be ready, and then the ball is going to slowly be able to drop as they go throughout the room. So as you can see, here is our lock and here is our ball. It's a little bit down below where we want. So by the time we finish this lock, we want that ball to be hanging about up to here. So in order to do that, we're going to put the lock in between the two elastics, but we're not going to seal it closed quite yet. Just make sure it's in place. What we're going to want to do before we seal this closed is to wrap a whole bunch of yarn around the edge of that lock, and then it'll hold it in place. So I like to first hold the ball up to about where you want it to be, and then you can get the slack that you need. So we know we'll need to do about that much to wrap it around it. So then I just hold that in place and start wrapping it around the lock. And I like to, every time it goes around, just put it behind my thumb so that it doesn't come off. Otherwise it's really easy for it to come out. So you can see we're starting to build up a nice little edge right here. Getting it in place. Our ball is rising. I want a little bit more slack. So it's now getting about to the spot that we want. So now I can go ahead and close that lock, put it in place, make sure it's in, and then again be sure to change that key code. Now we're ready to move on to the next lock above it to make that ball lift even more along the wall. So now we've got all 6 of our locks in place. The ball is definitely off the floor. It is ready to be able to begin the escape room. Then we'll be able to watch the ball drop as they complete each of those escape room clues as it goes down. One thing to note is that if they don't solve the second clue until they've already solved the first clue, they're going to have a whole lot of slack around the second clue, but won't be able to really see the ball drop until that first clue is solved. So they may have, maybe they solved 2 or 3 puzzles down here before solving number 1. That's okay, it won't drop yet, but they'll know that once they get number 1, that ball is going to drop a whole lot at once. So sometimes they'll see it drop as soon as they open the lock, if it's the top one, and if not, again, they'll just get an even more dramatic drop for each of the additional locks that they solve. So now let's talk about setting up the rest of the room. Before we jump into the first clue though, I will note that all of the papers you see throughout all of our puzzles are available in a printable PDF at our website, FamilyFed.com. So just print out those sheets, and it makes it so fast to put this escape room together. In fact, I think this is one of the fastest escape rooms we've done, because I know it's Christmas time, you've got a lot going on during the holidays, and you want a little bit less prep so you can relax during the holidays. In addition to the printables that make it super easy to put this together, I also have a supply list with links to all of the supplies that you'll want to get to make this super fun New Year's Eve escape room. So now let's jump into the clues. So if you're following along in the PDF, this is the exact setup that you're going to want to do. Again, it makes it so easy. The first thing you want to do is just create a little note to let your participants know how they are going to solve the escape room. It's a fun little poem that shows what they need to do to get this ball to drop. Just print it out, set it in the room in a really visible spot where everyone can see it so that they know right from the beginning what they want to do. Another iconic aspect of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day is making resolutions. So this next sheet in the PDF has 5 resolutions that are common for a lot of people, and all you need to do to put this clue together is just simply put this in the room. The clue itself, with the 3-digit code that they'll need, is built within the letters. Again, details for what that is are on the PDF itself. We don't have time to do them all in this video, but all you need to do is print this out. It has the clue built in. If you do want to bring a little bit of extra fun to this clue, you can actually fold it up and then put it in one of our boxes if you've done our other escape rooms. Oh, which by the way, we love doing escape rooms, so make sure to subscribe, because if you want to see future escape rooms, we love putting those together. We have a bunch more on FamilyFed.com as well. You can check those out. So we use these boxes all the time, so if you have done some of our previous ones, you already have these boxes on hand. You can go ahead and fold up this clue, put it inside the box, and then lock it closed. And then on this particular one, we're already doing lots of 3-digit codes. I just like to do lock and key combinations. So you can just put a key lock on the front of that and then hide the key throughout the room. We put several of these little decorations throughout the room, so I simply hid the key on the bottom of one of them. I chose the biggest one, that way it just hangs down a little farther and is easier for younger kids to be able to reach. But you can just tape the key to the back of that, and then you'll have that ready to go. Participants will see this box and they'll need to be able to find the key to open it to even get the clue to solve one of the locks. So much fun. So that locking box just adds that extra little layer. If you want to keep it simpler and shorter, you can just put that resolutions page straight into the room. But if you want to add an extra layer of depth, just put that inside of one of these boxes, lock it up, and then once they get the key, they'll find another puzzle to solve. For this next puzzle, you want to grab the sheet that has the 24 numbered blocks on it and also an invisible ink pen. Go ahead and cut out those numbers, and then you're going to get the 3 of them that have your 3-digit code, and you're going to write the numbers 1, 2, and 3 on them in the order of the 3-digit code. For instance, on number 2, if it's the first number in your code, you're actually going to write a number 1 on that with invisible ink. To figure out that 3-digit code, participants will need to use a black light flashlight to be able to shine that on each of the numbers and find that 1, 2, and 3 that signify the first, second, and third numbers on the 3-digit code. If you're playing with young kids, you could stop here and just put those 24 numbers throughout the room. But if you want to make it a little bit more advanced for everybody else, one of the things that I love to do is just fold up the papers super small, wrap them in saran wrap because we're going to be putting them in water. We don't want them to get wet. So just put saran wrap around each of them, tape it closed so that that saran wrap doesn't come off, and then, this is my favorite part, you're going to put them into ice cubes, so they're going to have to melt those ice cubes in order to be able to get the clues out. So in order to do that, I simply fill half of an ice cube tray with water and put the pieces of paper on the top. Now those are going to float, so let them freeze in the freezer for a little while. Once that layer has frozen over, come back and add a little bit more water to the top of it, and then that way the paper is stuck inside of the middle of the ice cube, and participants are going to have to melt those ice cubes with their hands in order to get the papers inside. Once it's frozen, if you do find that putting water on it makes that paper rise to the top a little bit, you can tell that you're going to lose it. Instead, flip the ice cube upside down before you put the water in, then the top of the ice cube is going to freeze, the water down below will freeze, and that's another way to get the papers put inside the middle of it as you prepare this clue. I like to, as I put them in, put sometimes with just 1 number in, sometimes I throw them in with 2 or 3, again to just throw them off the trail if you want to make it more difficult. It won't matter which 3 are in there together, the only thing that matters is what is written with our invisible ink pen. By the way, I like to put a towel right next to this clue so that participants have a place to dry their hands as they're trying to melt those ice cubes down. And then I also like to disguise this clue a little bit more by just putting some drinks inside so it looks like those ice cubes are there to keep the drinks cold. And again, that also gives our participants another little snack that they can enjoy while they're doing the escape room. If you want an option for this puzzle that maybe isn't quite as messy as melting ice, although honestly it really wasn't that bad when we did it in the room, instead you can get some balloons, put your little squares with the numbers on them inside of the balloons, and then participants will simply need to pop the balloon in order to get the clues out to solve the puzzle. Another way to take this one to the next level is to put your black light flashlight that's going to solve that clue for them, put that inside of a locked box, again using a lock and key, and then you can simply hide the key inside of a board game. I like to put several board games in the room. That way, again, once they finish the escape room, they already have some board games ready to play for the rest of the evening as they wait for the real ball to drop after this one has done so. Then they'll just simply go through the board games, find the key, and then they'll be able to get that to open up the lock. Once they get the black light, then they'll know how to solve the numbers that we have on this particular paper as well. Our next puzzle plays off of the tradition to have some poppers and confetti go into the air at the stroke of midnight to celebrate the arrival of the new year. So in order to create this one, the first thing that you're going to want to do is to put out the little popper clue. This is going to have 4 questions that relate to the New Year's Eve ball drop, and then simply set this somewhere inside of the room. Participants are going to need to find the answer to these questions that's hidden on these poppers. In order to create these poppers, simply start with a toilet paper roll, and you're going to also use a gold balloon. You're going to cut the bottom off of the balloon and then stretch it to go around the base of one of your toilet paper rolls. That's going to give you the chance to be able to pull the bottom of the balloon and send whatever is inside flying out the top. You're going to want to repeat that step 5 more times so you have 6 toilet paper rolls with that balloon wrapped around it. Then you want to get the gold and white striped papers from the PDF, cut those out, then wrap each of those around one of the toilet paper rolls to create this fun little popper effect that's starting to come together. In the PDF, you'll also find a page that has 2 sets of 6 circles. One of the sets says don't open unless it's an official guess. The other one has 6 challenges that participants will need to do if they guess the wrong popper. You're going to want to punch out all of the circles, fold those up into little balls, and then you're going to put one inside each of our little poppers. Then you want to put some glue along the top edge of the popper. You can use liquid glue or glue stick glue, and then once you have the glue on the top, put one of those circles on top of it, put it in place, and I like to turn all of them upside down. Put a little bit of pressure on it to make sure that that adhesive connects really well. To solve this clue, participants are going to want to look at the combinations of 4 answers on the front of the poppers and try and figure out which one of them is the right answer to all of the 4 questions. Now, participants aren't going to need their phone to solve this clue. Yeah, they probably never heard of these numbers before, but hidden within the room, and it's also mentioned on this sheet of paper, is a way for them to be able to answer this. Once they want to take an official guess, they can go ahead and take the seal off of the top of the popper, and then they'll be able to send the crumpled piece inside of it flying out the top. They can open it up, and if they've solved it correctly, they get the 3-digit code to open the lock. If they haven't solved it correctly though, they have a challenge that they have to do for 3 minutes, and there's some really fun challenges that they could participate in. So again, they can open up the wrong one, but if they do, they've got to take that challenge for 3 minutes, and then they can open up another one after that. On the bottom of each of these poppers is a word in the phrase, wishing you a happy new year. So when you put these in the escape room, you could put them in a fun pyramid, you could put them in a line, you could scatter them throughout the room. The real meaning of having that phrase on the bottom is just to make it easy for you as you put the escape room together to know that the one that's the correct answer is the one with the word you at the bottom of it. That's the one as you put the correct answer inside and fold it up, put it in the one with the word you on it. That's just there to make it simple for you as you do this room. Since you'll have extra balloons that you won't need in the room, you can just simply blow the rest of them up and put them throughout the room as a really fun decoration. Before we move on to our next clip, I also just wanted to let you know that we love bringing you easy family games, unlike this one that maybe takes a little bit of work. We love doing simple games that usually take 5 minutes or less to prep that make it super easy for your family to spend quality time together. So if you want to see tons of great ideas for simple games you can enjoy with your family or with friends at parties or just for any night at home, be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out FamilyFed.com for even more ideas that you can use every day of the year to bring lots of fun and laughter into your home. What would ringing in the new year be without a calendar? So our puzzle to solve is this little calendar piece. Now it is accurate for the year, so if you want to use it for the rest of the year for your calendar, you can. And a lot of participants I think are going to start looking at the numbers. All of those will be in order. The way that they want to solve this puzzle actually lies in these little motivational quotes on the bottom right side of each page. There is one word that is repeated in every single one of those, and that word is going to be used to solve a lock. So in this case, the word is work, because we always need to be able to work toward our goals to make them happen, right? So every single quote has the word work in it. And as they figure that out, they're going to put that into the word lock. So this is not a 3-digit code puzzle, but they want to be able to spell the word. Now you'll notice that the lock that we're using actually has 5 letter spaces, and our word is 4 letters. That is because the last one is just a blank space. One of the options on that lock is just a blank, and we're using that. So the solution will be work, blank space, to be able to do that. And in case participants don't pick up on the repeated word work as they go through the puzzle, the motivational quote in December actually gives them a clue. It has the only italicized word in the whole entire thing. That's going to clue them in to the fact that they want to look for that repeated word work and then also follow it by a blank space in order to solve the puzzle. So all of that is in our December clue that they'll be able to use. One thing to note on this puzzle is that in August, this little motivational section in the bottom right is colored blue. On all of the other pages, that is black. Everything else is black. So when they see that little blue text, they're going to know that that is hiding something for them, and that's going to come back into one of our future puzzles. So just remember, August has the blue quote on there, and that's going to be a way for them to solve one of our future puzzles, which I will tell you about in just a minute. Our next puzzle is built all around the various time zones in the world. So in this one, you want to get 3 pages that have these flags representing various nations throughout the world, and they also have a countdown from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year's on them as well. The language for each of those is matching the flag up at the top, and this particular printout is going to bring you 2 clues. The first thing that you want to do is cut those sheets up so that each of the individual countries is a long strip. So again, I can see the numbers and the countdown on each of those strips. As participants find these strips with the flags and the countdown, they can use the map that we have of the world and all of its time zones to be able to put them in order. Japan is going to be the first one, the United States is going to be the last one. As participants start putting all of these strips side by side, they should be clued in to something that is different on a few of them. If you want to take this puzzle to the next level as well, this is another one where it's really fun to hide the map of all the time zones inside one of the boxes. Again, just use a lock and key. My favorite way to hide the key on this clue is to just put out a little platter of lots of little treats for them. If you happen to be using small candy bars, you can actually open the flap on the back of it, tape it inside, then put that flap back closed to hide it even more. And I like to put that key at the bottom of all of the candy bars so that as they go through it, it's a little harder to find. And what I love about this is not only is it a great way to find the key, but it also gives your participants a fun snack to snack on as they work through the escape room. Not only does that clue open one of the locks as we just described, but those same strips of paper are actually used for a second clue. That's right, those strips are actually doing not just 1, but 2 puzzles. And if you recall back on our calendar, that little blue note on August, That's going to be a clue that helps participants know that sometimes one thing can accomplish multiple goals. So in this case, one puzzle actually then solves 2 locks. In order to create the second puzzle from these strips, you're actually going to want to start folding them. Fold them in half vertically from top to bottom 3 times, and then for a 4th fold, fold it in half the opposite direction. So once all of these are folded into those little teeny papers, then what you're going to want to do is stack them all again in the order of the time zones. So as they stack them all up, make sure that they keep that rotation from Japan all the way to the United States. And then when they do, if they stack them on the side, we're going to write a 3-digit code on the front of those little pieces of paper. In order to do this, as you're folding them and putting them together, I like to use a binder clip to hold it in place. That way it holds them nice and tight and secure, and then as you write the code on the front, you have a really stable way to do that. And then once you get ready to put them in the room, simply take them out of that binder clip, and I like to hide them in various locations so it's harder for them to find. You could, if you want, keep them all together, but I think hiding some of them, taping some of them on the wall is really fun. And if you want to give a little clue to the fact that they will want to put these all together, and if you want to make it easier for them to solve, go ahead and just add this binder clip in the room, hide it somewhere so that they'll be able to use it just like you did to write the information, they'll be able to use it to solve the information. So that is it, our New Year's Eve escape room centered around fun traditions, including our ball drop. Such a great way to spend your New Year's Eve. Everyone is gonna love it. A fun tradition that you can start from year to year to bring so much extra joy into that New Year's Eve celebration as you wait for the ball to drop. If you've enjoyed this, be sure to give us a thumbs up, and again, be sure to check out our other activities and games that we have on this channel and over at FamilyFed.com. Continue to stay with us for more fun escape rooms and for easy day-to-day activities that we think that you will love. I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve and a great New Year. Thanks so much for being with us. Enjoy your escape room, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.